That's dope.
What is up, everybody? I hope that you are having a wonderful day. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, April 19th. The markets have been absolutely crazy over the last days. I've been having a great time getting called an idiot by Nassim Taleb repeatedly on Twitter today. It's been a real honor and adventure to have one of my heroes call me stupid repeatedly. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm really excited, actually. As you guys know, I've talked about this before. Recently, Cosmos came on, not Cosmos the project, but their community came on as amazing sponsors of my podcast and of my Wednesday live stream. So I wanted to, have someone from the team come over and discuss everything that's going on, because I think that their project is absolutely incredible. So I want to welcome Peng Zhong into the stream. Hi, Peng. How are you, man?
Hey, Scott. How's it going? Happy to be here.
So you guys have so many exciting things going on. But first, I want to get clarity, because I know you guys that you are actually the CEO of Tendermint, right? So when I saw that, I was like, what's the relationship with Cosmos? So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Tendermint's relationship to Cosmos is sort of like Consensus's relationship to Ethereum, right? We're one of the biggest companies working in Cosmos. We have a lot of the talent, building a lot of the core technologies that Atom holders are excited about. And we have a massive stake in Atom as well. So we're very, super aligned with the community on all the efforts coming through governance, on-chain governance.
Which is cool, because I was like, who is the best person? Should it be the CEO of Cosmos, blah, blah, blah. And you were the person that everybody said should come on to give information. So I think that's really cool and interesting.
Yeah, as far as, I saw the topic of the discussion, Gravity Dex, right? So we're very much leading the development on Gravity Dex. So happy to explain a lot about that.
Yeah, I want to hear about that, because obviously, Uniswap is such a massive headache. And for anyone who's familiar with a centralized exchange or has been trading in other markets, we see order books and we have all these things that we're used to. And then you go on Uniswap or another DEX, and it's kind of like you throw your order out there and hope for the best. So could you talk about exactly what Gravity Dex is doing?
Sure. Before I talk about Gravity Dex, probably talk about Cosmos a little bit, right? So
please, go ahead.
For people new to Cosmos, so Cosmos is all about the multi-chain. It's all about lots of chains connected together, communicating data, communicating tokens. And that's what Cosmos is really about. It's the most sort of collaborative ecosystem in crypto. It's the most friendly ecosystem in crypto, because we're not here to, sort of take away from anyone else's work. We're here to bridge them all together.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So now can you talk a bit more about Gravity Dex specifically?
Sure. So a part of Cosmos is the Cosmos Hub. And this is at the very center of Cosmos. All the value secured by the Atom token. And what the Gravity Dex is, it's an upcoming exchange, but it has two parts. It comprises both a swap, sort of like Uniswap, but also comprises an order book style exchange. And how those two are sort of put together is we just consider swap orders to be like a very short limit order in terms of time. So it's only around for like a few blocks at most. And that's how we integrate the idea of swaps into an order book exchange.
Is this being done elsewhere? I haven't heard about it.
This is really the first time it's being done. We really
also
think that traders benefit heavily from the order books, and we want to enable that as an option for traders.
And it's completely cross-chain, of course, like anything with Cosmos, right?
Right. But it's not just anything with Cosmos. So as part of Cosmos, we are building this thing called IBC. It's a protocol like TCP/IP that allows any chain really to send tokens to Cosmos chains. We're working on bridges to Polkadot, and we're working on bridges to Celo that all use IBC, so the standardized protocol. And we expect that other chains in the future would also be able to implement IBC themselves. So as opposed to many other bridges between even like layer 2s or between other layer 1s, this is not some sort of ad hoc or bespoke bridge between chains. This is a standard that we hope can take over multi-chain connections as a whole.
So I'm going to start. There's a lot of questions that are running by. A lot of people I see over here mentioning Prop 42. So the Prop 42 rumors have already been quelled. Let's have a listen on what's relevant. I see them literally going by here, question after question after question. Can you talk about Prop 42?
Yeah, so Prop 42, it's about a spend, I think it's roughly about 5,000 atoms, which is around $100,000 on events for privacy in Cosmos. And there's some discontent from various atom holders that this amount is too much money for what is, I think, 3 virtual events and 1 live event. And I understand their position. This is money from the Cosmos Atom community pool on the blockchain itself, and it may seem like a lot of money to run these things. But being on the other end of being part of event organization and seeing how much it costs, we've spent more than 100,000 USD on single parties in one location. So this is not, I don't think it's an unreasonable amount of money to ask. Tendermint as a company, we don't vote on proposals like this. But we do, we encourage all token holders to vote as they see fit.
Okay.
Personally, I'm a big fan of privacy, and to see more privacy events happen on Cosmos, I think would encourage more developers looking to build, privacy applications and things of that nature on Cosmos.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I can see that there's like half the people are really excited about it, and half the people seem to be against it. Like any democratic community, it's very interesting. I'm trying to just go through these questions over here. How do you predict Atom will come through BESA time? I don't know what that means, actually. Do you know what that means?
I'm not sure what BESA means.
maybe it's a misspelling there. So I want to talk about more deeply about what Cosmos is and why it's so important and what makes it actually unique from other chains. Obviously, the interoperability and the bridges, but do you see it as a complement to an Ethereum? Do you see it as a competitor of an Ethereum? Do you see it as, the one chain will rule them all one day, or is there a world where they all work together? I'm really curious.
Yeah, so we love Ethereum. We embrace Ethereum. We're not a competitor to Ethereum, but we want to bridge to Ethereum as well. Ethereum 1.0 unfortunately can't support IBC, so we have teams working on a customized bridge to bridge Ethereum 1.0 over to Cosmos, which will allow people to trade, ERC20 tokens and ETH tokens on Cosmos and use it on the Gravity Dex. And as a whole, we don't believe in one chain ruling them all. We believe, many chains will rule many different things, and they should be specifically customized for the use case that you have in mind. So what makes Cosmos different from almost any other ecosystem in crypto is that we believe in a future with a huge number of chains, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of chains that all interconnect and interoperate. To understand how this would work, right, we need to sort of change the paradigm of how we think about blockchain development, right? So in Cosmos, we think that smart contract development is only one way to bring value through blockchain. And what we provide is a blockchain SDK, and we provide also a developer experience toolkit called Starport. And it's meant to make making and launching sovereign blockchains as easy as writing up a smart contract on the weekend and launching it on Ethereum.
That makes it sound really, really simple. It's funny to hear someone say as easy as writing up a smart contract. For someone like me, I would have no idea how to do that. But so you guys envision a world where there's multiple blockchains doing multiple things, and basically each is focused on the thing it's best at, and Cosmos allows them all to work together.
Exactly.
Very
but not
low
just
level.
Work together, right? But we also expect these chains to make heavy use out of the Cosmos hub, right? They don't have to. That's one of the biggest differences between our chain and some other scalability ecosystems around the world, which is you don't ever have to use the Cosmos hub. You don't ever have to use the Gravity Dex. But our goal is to make it as as interesting and as useful and as valuable as possible for these chain developers to come into and start using the Gravity Dex. They could use it to launch a fundraiser, like an initial Dex offering. They can use it to enable price discovery of a new token. They could use it to create fundraisers, to allow them to start building, things like that. So that's one of the main differences between our ecosystem and many others. We believe that Atom holders really should be involved in the fundraising of many, many new chains, and we want to give them those opportunities. But beyond that, right, creating the best possible developer experience to enable people to launch chains themselves, that's what we're really in for.
So cool. So great question here. Will the gas fees from Gravity Dex be paid in Atom?
Yes, they will.
So that's another use case for the coin. Obviously, I mean, we've seen what happened to BNB when PancakeSwap launched and took a percentage of the market, I guess, from Uniswap, and how having the token have that utility has been extremely bullish for price. Obviously,
yeah, we're not enforcing every single token that goes on the Gravity Dex to be like an Atom X pair, right? That's not what we're going for. But in fact, every single transaction on the Gravity Dex will have fees, that need to be paid towards Atom, which is where the Dex is situated on top of.
Makes sense. Can you talk about Cosmos integration with Thorchain and Sifchain?
Sure. I think Thorchain and Sifchain are incredible projects, and I'm keeping an eye on them. But at the same time, we're all building things. We're all heads down building things. And what's really going to allow these chains to interoperate with the Cosmos Hub is IBC. So because Thorchain and Sifchain are built on the Cosmos SDK, which I mentioned earlier, has IBC enabled, it allows these chains to connect to ours and send, Rune tokens and Rowan tokens, I think, from Sifchain over to Cosmos.
Yeah, and Thorchain has been just exceptional. I mean, people are very bullish on it. It's an incredible project. So it's really cool to see that.
Seems to have a very passionate community, and I love what they're doing.
Where do the names Cosmos and Atom come from?
Right. We made them up. No, but really, the idea of Cosmos, right, is
never heard of an atom.
Cosmos is absolutely everything, sort of in the universe, and that's how we see, all Cosmos blockchains being sort of all together in the same universe. And this protocol called IBC, right? This is like this sort of faster than light spaceship that can go between planets and galaxies, etc.
Yeah, somebody had a good name. I just lost it, but somebody had a great explanation for it over here. It basically said it's the largest thing with the smallest piece. So the cosmos being the entire world, and the smallest piece being an atom. Although technically, I guess an atom isn't quite the smallest piece. But
no, there's smaller pieces.
Yeah, so I'm just going through the questions here. Will Cosmos be moved to Akash network?
Right, so that's a great question
all the time. People, yeah.
So what Akash network is, right? It's a decentralized cloud platform. So it replaces something like Google Cloud or AWS, right? But it's decentralized. It's all of these servers essentially are run on different validator hardware spread across the entire world, and it's all resilient to downtime, et cetera, et cetera. So what does it mean when someone says to move Cosmos onto Akash? Well, it can mean many things, right? So why are we talking about Akash in the first place? Well, Akash is another chain that's built on the Cosmos SDK. And in the coming days, I believe in 5 days, Akash will turn on IBC, right? So we'll see the first AKT tokens be able to transfer to the Cosmos Hub, which is super exciting. And we'll be able to create, like an AKT Atom liquidity pool on the Cosmos Hub in the coming months. Okay, so let me just to go answer the question. But what can be moved onto Akash network, right? There are some things. We can move websites onto Akash, right? For sure. We can move web applications onto Akash. We can move the front end for Gravity Dex onto Akash. And I believe down the road, we can even move things like blockchain full nodes onto Akash. So that's definitely a little bit higher lift because it takes, hundreds of gigabytes of storage right now to run a full node for the Cosmos Hub. But that's definitely cool stuff that's worth investigating, right? And I really believe in building Cosmos tech on top of other Cosmos tech. I think it just creates a very interesting dynamic. And, it's like us dogfooding our own tech.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, is there a chance that networks like Akash end up competing with the Amazon web servers and clouds of the world? Or is it more of it exists within its own sort of ecosystem and is parallel?
It will compete with the likes of AWS, right? I think most people on this call believe that Web3 is taking over all of Web2, right? And Web2 institutions like Google Cloud and AWS will need to innovate, or they'll be outcompeted by services that are just much more streamlined. The thing about blockchain is it's programmatic value, right? So you no longer have to sign up with a credit card. You no longer have to go through ID checks. You don't even have to use a web app. Everything can be done and automated in the background and run on Akash. So it creates like a whole new and more efficient way of interacting with different pieces of software.
This is a great question. Is there added pressure to build faster since we're in a bull market?
Yes, there is. But we appreciate that pressure, right? We believe that anyone, who decides to invest in our ecosystem, right, sees bright things in our future, right? And the added value of the tokens does expand our treasury and allows us to invest, whether that's through hiring more or by buying more for the Cosmos ecosystem.
Yeah. What happens in a bear market? I'm just curious because obviously there's all this pressure to do it in a bull market. But yeah,
we're scaling sustainably, right? We're not like, oh, the price of the token has doubled. We're going to hire, double our headcount.
Oh, of course.
The price halves, we're going to fire half of everyone. But we're going to scale like in a reasonable, sustainable way. But the overall sort of high level, long-term picture is the value of these tokens will continue increasing. The value of all tokens in crypto will continue increasing, and we're just really keeping up to demand by continuing to hire and grow our team. So, for context, we were at about 20 people last year, and now we're about 50, and we're hoping to grow to 80 by end of the year and more over time, right?
Incredible. Yeah. So how does Cosmos achieve decentralization?
Sure. So Cosmos is all about sovereign blockchains, application-specific blockchains. And that means that, whenever you want to build a new application, let's say it's a lending application, let's say it's a gaming platform, let's say it's an NFT platform, or, a new stablecoin, the first thing we would, propose is building a new chain for that, because we make it that easy. With Starport, you're able to create a new chain yourself in a matter of like minutes, about 5 minutes. And we have a way for you to collect validators, right? Because all Cosmos chains are proof of stake chains. You can create a new validator set, hire validators, and get them to join your network within a few minutes after that. That's the end goal anyway. So, you're not going to have any excuse not to create a new chain if it only takes you, let's say, 30 minutes to do so.
It's incredible. Does Atom charge a fee for all IBC transactions, even if they don't pass through Cosmos Hub?
No. So Atom does not charge a fee for all IBC transactions. They do need to, transactions do need to send things to the Cosmos Hub and away for the Cosmos Hub for it to charge fees.
Got it. Okay. Just going to keep going because there's so many questions coming in and they're better than anything I would ask. So, which wallets will be used for Gravity Dex?
That's a great question. To start with, Kepler is one, and Ledger will be another. Those are two ways of you to manage your identity as an Atom holder, and we'll be supporting those in the Gravity Dex UI. Of course, over time, there's going to be more and more wallets. Any sort of wallet that you currently use to hold Atom should be able to interact with the Gravity Dex, and I think onboarding is one of the things that we really prioritize.
Cool. This is a kind of heavy question, but a good one. Can PZ, I like PZ, provide a quick summary of all value-add services coming out over the next year and how they're expected to create revenues for Atom? I guess we can go one by one. AMM, IBC, shared security, other things, bridges, question mark. Yeah, so recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, IBC was enabled for the first time on the Cosmos Hub, right? And quickly following that, the Iris network has enabled IBC, and there have been a couple of other chains that have enabled it. Like I mentioned before, 5 days from now, Akash will enable it as well. We also have a number of chains built by core Cosmos developers that are going to be enabling IBC over the course of the next few weeks and months, and all of that's going to lead to the Gravity Dex AMM, which is coming out in Q2. So that's one of the strongest ways Atom will gain in value. With a Dex that's powered and secured by the Atom, it's going to encourage all of these new chains to start trading, to start creating liquidity, for traders to start arbitraging, and also for developers to see that they actually have a new path to listing their tokens permissionlessly. They don't have to go to Binance. They don't have to go to Coinbase, right? They can list their tokens permissionlessly on the Cosmos Hub and start getting people to invest. That's really huge. So what's the next one? Oh, it's IBC. Right. I just mentioned that. Yeah, AMM, IBC, shared security, other things.
Sure. So shared security is coming a little bit later. I'm going to go over like what's coming a little bit more sooner. So we have an upcoming bridge to Ethereum, like I mentioned before. This is a two-way bridge. It's going to allow ETH and ERC20 tokens to flow into Cosmos, onto the Cosmos Hub, secured by the Cosmos Hub. We think it's really cool. It's one of the most decentralized one of the most decentralized and safest places to store your ETH and ERC20 tokens, because it is secured by over $5 billion worth of value. It's not just some multi-sig that you'd expect with other sort of other bridges. This Gravity Bridge also allows you to send all Cosmos tokens over to Ethereum, right? So if there are ways you want to participate in the Ethereum ecosystem, you can send your atoms over. I generally wouldn't recommend that, but there are potentially other tokens that you may want to send over to Ethereum to participate in the cool DeFi stuff that's happening on ETH.
Cool.
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah, there's more even. Yeah, continue. Just make sure you can see the question. Yeah.
Shared security, also known as interchain staking. So what is this? This is like, this is sort of similar to what Polkadot's doing, right? And it is to use one chain, which we're using the Cosmos Hub here, to share its security with child chains, or maybe like we can consider them the baby chains or something. And it allows new chains to get instant security at a much faster way than if they were to set up their own validator set. So let's say Cosmos has worth 5 billion and it shares, let's say, 25% of its security, 1.25 billion, to another DEX, right? That allows that DEX to be secured instantly by 1.25 billion USD worth of security, and which will allow people to have more faith when they conduct bigger trades, right? As a very clear example, you wouldn't want to trade $100 million on a blockchain that's only worth $150 million, right? There's just not enough security there to keep your funds safe. So that's really why shared security is so important. This is shared security interchain staking. We're planning on rolling out by end of the year. Gravity Dex coming in Q2, Gravity Bridge coming in Q2 or Q3. Another couple of really cool things, staking derivatives, right? So in proof of stake networks, what you can do with your tokens is pretty boring. You get your tokens and you stake them in return for yield. And that's really all you can do with them. Well, I guess in Cosmos, right, you can also vote on governance proposals with them. But we want people to be able to do more than that. So the idea of staking derivatives is you actually get another token when you stake Atom on the Cosmos Hub. We have no idea what it's going to be called, but let's just say it's like an Atom derivative, right? And then you're able to use that to trade on the Gravity Dex, etc. So that gives you, more return on your stake position.
Did we cover them all?
There's one more.
Okay, keep
going. So in Ethereum, right, you're able to control one account and hold a whole bunch of tokens and interact with all sorts of different DeFi protocols via MetaMask, right? I love MetaMask. We have something in Cosmos similar called Kepler, right? And it allows you to interact with multiple chains at the same time with using the same wallet. But one of the issues with multi-chain paradigms compared to Ethereum is that all your tokens are not all on one chain, right? All the ERC20 tokens are on one chain. You can do basically anything you want. But what interchain accounts does, and another upcoming feature coming in Q2 or Q3, is it lets you essentially remote control your account balances on every other chain in the Cosmos, right? So maybe you are connected to the Cosmos Hub, and you can use that as your command center to move your tokens, transact with them on other chains that are linked to the Cosmos Hub through IBC.
Man, that's a lot. A lot coming. It's unbelievable. I think we covered all of those, right? Yeah. Okay, great. Can you talk about can you talk at all about the latest with Osmosis? How is it different than Gravity?
Sure. So I don't have the latest on Osmosis, but I can explain how it's different than Gravity, right? So Gravity Dex is a order book exchange and a Uniswap style, AMM at the same time, and it resides on the Cosmos Hub directly. So the difference is that Osmosis is another blockchain in Cosmos. It plans on using interchain staking or shared security from the Cosmos Hub. So it's pursuing a slightly different direction to security. But the main difference is that Osmosis is essentially AMMs as a service. So what it allows you to do is to build something potentially like Gravity Dex on top of Osmosis. But beyond that, it also allows you to create multi-token pools. So similar to Balance It in Ethereum. So instead of the current design for Gravity Dex, right, only allows you to create 2 token pairs like Atom Iris or Iris AKT, etc. Osmosis allows you to create pools with 3 or more tokens. So you could do something like a 20% Atom, 20% Iris, 80% Luna or something, and trade that way.
Cool. Perfect.
It's a really cool tool, but at the same time, it's not on the Cosmos Hub itself.
Makes sense. This one might, how's Atom so undervalued compared to projects built on it? It says built on Cosmos in the next one. We see that across all chains, right? I mean, that's like obviously asking, there's a million things built on Ethereum. Why would one of them be worth more than Ethereum itself? But perhaps you can give a more eloquent answer.
Yeah, so there's two answers here. One is that with the enablement of IBC 2 weeks ago, it's really the first time the Atom can start offering value to the other chains that are built on IBC, right? So it's just without IBC, the Atom doesn't benefit from other chains, and the other chains don't benefit from the Atom. But especially once we start implementing the Gravity Dex and other ways of encouraging chains to deposit tokens onto the Cosmos Hub, you're going to see a lot more chains appreciate what's offered by Atom. The other answer is what we're doing with Starport, right? So what we're doing with Starport is we're building, sort of the best developer experience around chain development that you could expect. And we're also aligning them closely with the Atom token itself, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to allow Atom holders to invest in the creation of new chains that are aligned with the Cosmos Hub itself. And by creating this, this aligned incentive with chain developers in the Atom from the very beginning, it's going to encourage more cross promotion than currently exists.
That makes perfect sense. How will the Atom token accrue value over time? What separates Cosmos Hub from all the other potential hubs?
Yeah, sure. So I answered a lot of that earlier. There's the Gravity Dex, Gravity Bridge, interchain staking derivatives, interchain accounts. Those are all ways Atom will accrue value over time. But what really separates Cosmos Hub from other potential hubs, right? Like let's say Terra, Thorchain, Sifchain, other chains that want to be the hub, is the Cosmos Hub is built and has stakeholders with the original team that developed all of Cosmos core technology, right? We are the right people and we have the right community who believe in this internet of blockchains. Every other hub, is creating value for their token holder. But what we are doing is we are creating the internet of blockchains. Right, so that means we have all the right expertise to teach people how to build chains themselves, how to onboard chain developers, and we have the right community of Atom holders who believe in this internet of blockchains, who will willingly fund these new projects. And that sort of community and culture doesn't exist in other hubs in Cosmos.
So I have to ask a bunch of questions here, and it's the talk of the entire space. Obviously, people are asking when there will be a Dogecoin bridge, all these other things. I'm just curious, as someone who's building in this space, like head down all the time, what do you make of things like Dogecoin going absolutely nuts mainstream?
Yeah, so I don't hold any Dogecoin, so obviously I missed out entirely.
Same.
I never knew a meme would have this much value. But at the same time, I guess people can argue, isn't Bitcoin a meme as well? Well, I do think there's one big difference between Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and that is, Bitcoin has a lot more core development behind it, right? Dogecoin doesn't really have much of anything. In fact, I checked the repo recently, hasn't been updated in several months. And, I really aim for long-term sustainability when it comes to investing in new tokens and chains. That's like a philosophy of our own, company investments and also me personally. So, I mean, I don't see a great long-term future for Dogecoin right now.
It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
Really incredible to watch.
Yeah, but to your point, like people can call Bitcoin a meme, but you've got network effects. It's been in existence for a long time. It's proven its worth. It doesn't go back to 10 or 15 sats every 6 months. But also, Bitcoin's deflationary.
It's very easy to understand.
Bitcoin's deflationary. If you want to make the digital, you're not going to make an argument for Doge as digital gold. They're scarce.
The narrative I'm hearing is that Bitcoin has sort of been taken over by the financial institutions that Bitcoin was originally against.
There's that.
And some people believe that Dogecoin embodies the original spirit of cryptocurrency, and it's worth investing into. I think that's what the other side believes.
I can't get there mentally, personally, just because maybe it's like PTSD from past Doge cycles. But obviously, I know history doesn't have to repeat itself. But we've seen how that just travels generally the entire time. Now this I'm going to ask, because they asked, why does the price keep falling? Technically, what's happening to Atom? And I think if you look at the entire market, it has nothing to do with technically what's happening at Atom, and the price hasn't fallen that far.
Yeah, so the price hasn't fallen that far. Technically, what's happening is that I think, all markets were just overbought and there was just too much, sort of bull enthusiasm in crypto as a whole. And this is naturally what happens in cycles like these. I don't think this is like sort of the end of the bull market. I don't think it's the beginning of the new, like a new 4-year bear phase. This is just what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, we saw almost $10 billion in long liquidations yesterday, which was, I think, a record by like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Not even close have we ever seen people that long with that much leverage. And I mean, for anyone, people talking about price and in markets, if you have any basic understanding, you obviously saw what happened with GameStop on a short squeeze. Well, long squeeze is the exact same thing. If somebody can sell down $1,000 on spot and go short before that, they know that it's just going to cascade liquidations down for the next, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, which happened in 4 hours. So I don't see any, as you said, I just don't see any huge narrative. I think it was somebody taking advantage of a very good opportunity to make a whole lot of money on a short. That's it.
I really sympathize, with the traders who were dealing with this over the weekend.
Terrible.
And not just that, but I really sympathize with people holding tokens on, really congested chains like Ethereum. I was making some transactions myself over the weekend and I wasn't looking at the price. I was like, why is everything so expensive? And why are all my transactions delayed for hours? It's really rough.
I just paid $260 to send someone Tether today.
Yeah.
It's insane. You know what I mean? But
it's really insane. But that's part of what Cosmos is.
But it's growing
as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We are trying to encourage people to create application-specific blockchains. So, you don't really need to share the same highway like on ETH with every other DeFi protocol that's built on Ethereum. We don't think that makes sense. We think that every chain should have its own set of highways, and that allows, transactions to be fast, to be snappy, to be cheap, and to allow further experimentation to occur. But beyond that, it also allows newcomers to join in the ecosystem. Hundreds of dollars of transaction fees are not something that's, easy for any of us, and especially for people who don't have that sort of money to sing around.
Yeah, I mean, to send $100 and for it to cost $100 to send $100 doesn't make sense, obviously.
I think recently we had a customer study. We asked them, as we're building this wallet for Gravity Dex, we're asking them to try out DeFi and Ethereum, and we started them with $50 off on Coinbase, and we encouraged them to try out Uniswap. And by the end of this customer testing session, they weren't able to do anything. In fact, they lost a lot of money and they weren't able to do a single trade because transaction fees on Uniswap were just so high. $50 was absolutely meaningless.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate.
How did the partnership with Althea start and their work for Gravity Bridge? Did I even pronounce it right? I don't know.
That's correct. So I'm less involved here. So the Interchain Foundation, which funds a lot of the companies in Cosmos. So there's 15 plus core teams building Cosmos tech, and the Interchain Foundation is funding most of that work. And so with regards to Gravity Bridge, they're also doing the same by funding Althea to build Gravity Bridge.
Perfect. For shared security, does it use an auction process similar to DOT? If not, how do you determine who gets to be a child chain? Presumably you can't have infinite.
Right. So the exploration around the specification for shared security is still in the earlier stages. So some of this, some of what I'm going to say is still very malleable, but we're not planning on using an auction process similar to DOT. In fact, we plan on it being something that's up to the validators themselves to decide on, right? So there's 125 validators on the Cosmos Hub today. Some of them may opt in to offering shared security to child chains. And it's up to you as a delegator to choose who to delegate your Atom tokens to. Do you want to delegate to a validator who offers, interchain staking? Or do you want to just delegate to a validator who only stakes with the Cosmos Hub, right? It's up to you as a delegator to figure out which set of, trade-offs versus security versus decentralization you want to be a part of. Obviously, the validators that offer interchain staking offer, yield in maybe 5 or 10 or 15 different types of tokens at once, which may be super appealing. But at the same time, that makes their infrastructure a little bit more brittle.
Perfect. Just going through these. This is a good one. This is an interesting question. Can you talk about how the Cosmos devs are engaging with governments to improve the likelihood that any future CBDCs are developed in a way that maximizes compatibility with Cosmos Hub IBC?
Sure. So we're doing some of that internally at Tendermint. We've been working on a protocol called Cosmos Cash. And it's essentially a thin layer, a proof of authority layer on top of the Cosmos SDK to allow institutions to issue their own CBDC, like a digitized euro, for example. We're currently targeting the European market for Cosmos Cash, and we're starting talks with regulators to see how that might work. But essentially, this would be not a stable coin because it would in fact be one-to-one the same value as a fiat currency.
Right. Got it. So any farming new tokens by Adam? Not sure.
Okay, so I'm not sure what that means exactly, but let me explain what I might think what this might mean. So the Gravity Dex, right, will be on the Cosmos Hub. It will be secured by the Atom. And maybe what you're asking is, will there be any farming incentives to provide liquidity on the Gravity Dex? The answer to that is yes, there will be lots. Well, wait, I'm not going to say lots. There will be farming incentives, and we're working on those right now. We want to encourage as much liquidity as possible on the Cosmos Hub, and we realize that farming incentives are something that's fairly important to have.
I'm curious personally. I didn't even ask at the beginning. I should have. What is your background, and how did you get so involved in Cosmos, Tendermint, but in programming all of this in crypto? I think it's just really interesting to hear how people got here.
Yeah, so I first heard of Bitcoin when it hit like $1, I think, but I didn't invest. Some of this new thing that I don't think anyone really invested into. But I started looking more deeply into crypto in 2014. I didn't develop anything cryptocurrency related, but I was like, oh, this is really cool. Bitcoin's really cool. I can use this Electrum wallet, I think back in the day, and I can hold on to my tokens, and I can actually accept Bitcoin in for my work at the time. I was a freelance web developer and web designer. So I was like, okay, I found this thing called Bitcoin Wiki. I'm going to list my name as a vendor to provide website design in return for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I think back then nobody actually asked me to build something in return for Bitcoin. So that was a fail. But what came on shortly after that was I was engaged by Jaquan, which is the founder of Cosmos and the former CEO of the company. And he was at the time looking to build an exchange that would compete with Mt. Gox. And he called it Fort Knox. And I helped him build the UI for that. So this was in late 2014 or so. I was not paid in Bitcoin. I was just paid in USD, I believe. But I built a DEX, not a DEX. It was like an exchange, right? A centralized exchange front end. This exchange never ended up launching. But what came out of that was this design to build something like Cosmos. And I was in fact hired into Tendermint in late 2015 as the first employee to work on Cosmos. Like I mentioned before, I have a background in website design and development. And so that was what I initially focused on in Cosmos. I helped build the UI for the Cosmos fundraiser, which raised, I think, 17 million in ETH and BTC in 2017. And then I built the first wallet for Cosmos. I also built the first block explorer for Cosmos and the original Cosmos website and Tendermint website. So that's how I really got involved in the first place. So cool. I don't have a technical, core developer background, but I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. And
I wish I
have a huge passion for improving user experience and developer experience as a whole.
Clearly. You mentioned this, so it's a good question, I guess. How do you feel about the founder, Jaquan, branching off and doing his own new project? Is he still contributing to Cosmos?
Yeah, so he's building an exciting new project called Gno. And I can link it at some point, maybe off my own Twitter. But it's a Golang smart contract framework for the Cosmos SDK. So essentially, it's a Cosmos module, and it allows people to write Go smart contracts. So I would say he's still contributing to Cosmos in his own way, and I believe there's going to be a chain involved, potentially with a Gno token. A lot of this stuff is under heavy development, but I don't see him stepping down to work on Gno as him leaving Cosmos. In fact, I see him as building sort of the next generation of protocols and infrastructure for Cosmos.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that everything can basically is interoperable with Cosmos. So
each other, as long as IBC is there.
Right. So it would not be competitive. This is an interesting question. What projects besides Cosmos are most promising, valuable at the moment in your view? What else are you bullish on, I guess?
I'm not going to list any names other than...
You can say nothing.
I still love Ethereum. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I think some of the experiments on Ethereum with DeFi are absolutely incredible, and I think NFTs have managed to find a pretty decent product market fit on ETH. And what we're doing here at Cosmos is we're here to collaborate with Ethereum and support it. We're working on our no native NFT solutions that ideally cost less than 100, 150 bucks per transaction. We really want to support artists and musicians and other people who are selling digital goods online, and for them to be able to do that without it costing an arm and a leg, right? And for a lot of DeFi activities, right, we're also finding ways to enable DeFi on Cosmos to allow people to transfer tokens from ETH to Cosmos, participate in DeFi, and allow them to collect yield without paying hundreds of dollars as well.
Perfect. I'm curious, you brought up NFTs, obviously, and I think it's clear that anyone who's deep in the weeds on this knows that the use cases for NFTs are absolutely the future of so many different avenues of crypto and mainstream uses, obviously. But I'm curious if you think that we are seeing some sort of crazy bubble at the moment in NFTs, and that a lot of this it's my feeling that a lot of this will probably go away, and then we'll see sort of the cream rise to the top, and the best projects will emerge.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely somewhat of a bubble. I think, but at the same time, this is one of the best, I think one of the best product market fits for crypto as a whole. I think it's much easier for people to understand, sort of every real world object, every online object can be considered an NFT. And it's easier to grasp your mind around, especially when, people are doing most of their shopping online because of the pandemic right now.
Yeah, it's funny. We've talked so much about mainstream adoption with crypto for like 3 or 4 years and all the conjecture of all the things. And then it ends up being, digital art and basketball cards that gets everybody, interested and involved.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have predicted that personally. But
so we're doing some of this work as well. We're digging into NFTs at Tendermint. We're incubating this project called Pylons. Okay, so entering the green myth here. Yeah. So Pylons is a chain focused on allowing developers to issue NFTs very quickly and easily, even without any code. So how this works is we create recipes, and we'll have recipe books that allow people to create new types of NFTs, create things like, create their own NFT marketplace, for example, or create their own, art auction house, essentially anything under the world, like trading cards, all without programming and all without interacting with smart contracts. So that's what Pylons is. We think it's going to be big. And also they're going to be IBC enabled NFTs. So whichever other NFT that supports IBC, alongside these NFTs and Pylons will be able to be transferred onto the Cosmos Hub, secured on the Cosmos Hub, exchanged across the Internet of Blockchains, all that good stuff.
Cool. And there you go. Somebody had just asked about it when you went into it. So are there any plans on burning Atom in the future?
There's no plans on burning atoms in the future. So how Atom works and the reason why it inflates is it's to encourage people to stake atoms to provide security for the Cosmos Hub, right? And the way the economics of the Atom token works out is that it's really meant for you to stake. But at the same time, I mentioned before, right? Staking tokens is boring. You want to do something with it. And that's where staking derivatives comes in, right? So even though you are staked, you're able to take those atoms and do great things with them, earn additional yield with them. And that's how we, hope to encourage more utility of the Atom.
Perfect. What's your partnership with Kadena? Will you be integrating their coming cross-chain DEX?
Right. So Kadena, I think, uses Tendermint. But I'm really not on top of what Kadena is doing right at the moment. I'm not sure if they're going to enable IBC. If they are going to, then obviously we would definitely be able to integrate with their cross-chain DEX.
I'm just looking at, someone's asking, I know you can't answer this. Any expectations for target price? I'm assuming they mean of Atom during this run. And yeah, I'm just going to go out and say nobody can give price predictions about anything because it's literally asking someone if they have a crystal ball, right?
Yeah, no one can give price predictions. All I can tell you is that Tendermint is really hard at work building more utility, more infrastructure, and we're heads down focused on the Cosmos Hub.
Are the Pylon tokens going to be airdropped, or it's all VC private public sales?
Sure. So we're discussing right now a Pylon airdrop to Atom holders. That's all I can say at this point. It's definitely not meant to go to all VC private public sales. There's a huge component of Pylons which is meant to go directly to the people who use Pylons to issue NFTs. But beyond that, our largest stake is in Atom, and we want to make sure that any project that we build brings value back to Atom holders, ideally.
I'm curious, what do you think? It's so hard in this space because 1 month is like 10 years anywhere else. But obviously, it's easy to understand the vision for Cosmos in the coming months and years. But is there like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan? Is there a vision for, hey, what is this in 50 years? I don't know if that's a possible thing to have, but 10 years, 5?
Yeah. So the plan for Cosmos is very similar to the overarching goal of crypto as a whole, which is to take over every part of our life. Crypto is just much more efficient at allocating resources and collaborative decision making than anything humanity's ever had up until this point. And we think that what Cosmos offers is sort of the most environmentally sustainable and the most scalable way to allow that to happen. So we have the technology in place to make that happen. What we need to do at this point, to get us 5 years down the road to a future of, let's say, tens of thousands of chains built on Cosmos, right, is we need to continue improving the developer experience. We need to improve the experience of validators. Validating is still quite difficult. If you don't have, SRE or sort of developer operations knowledge, it's hard for you to run a validator. So we're working on, making that easier to use with a lower barrier of entry. And ideally, if you can use something like any sort of web app, let's say if you can use, Google Cloud and AWS, you should be able to know how to run a validator.
Right.
So that's the sort of easy use we're going there.
Well, that's a great answer. I'm curious then your thoughts, because it's a big kind of thing to say in the crypto community that one day Bitcoin will be the world global reserve currency. Okay, probably not, but and DeFi will replace the banking system. I mean, do you see a world where crypto literally replaces the biggest, foundational systems in the world, or do you see it as it's likely to run parallel and give the people who understand it or the people who want to opt out of those systems or who don't have access to them another rail that's parallel to those systems? I can opt out. I can do what I want.
Yeah,
those
so I think
still
there are going to be
exist.
2 rails for the foreseeable future, but at the same time, I believe that traditional financial institutions will start co-opting into crypto, and the future is one where it's all crypto. So what happened with the internet? The internet allowed all data to start moving across computers permissionlessly. What blockchain allows is for all value to now cross the world permissionlessly. And so what sort of efficient system, and finance is a very much an efficient system, wouldn't want to make use of that.
Right. Yeah. And then it's interesting. Then you get into the original conflict of, mainstream adoption actually being counter to the ethos of crypto in general. When you're saying I'm opting out, but now all of a sudden the banks want to use stable coins, or the banks want to, participate themselves, or the banks want to custody and offer yield on our crypto assets. So it's really a kind of a fine
lot of
line.
people would end up using those, right? They
Of course.
prefer the guarantees that's offered, and
Of course.
they prefer to not have to custody their own tokens. But for everyone else, who believes in the core sort of cryptocurrency ethos, at least that option is out there now, and it's
yeah. And I think it's important. I think it's important to have both. 90% of people on this planet have no interest in figuring out what they're doing. They just want to do it in a manner they're comfortable with, which is why they'll buy Bitcoin on PayPal, not understanding that they can't send their Bitcoin off PayPal, which is why they would love to deposit it in their normal bank, right? Because it's just familiar.
It's very similar to how today, there are people running their own web servers, running their own email servers, hosting their own digital content. There's, people are going to continue doing that for crypto, but there are also going to be a lot of mainstream use cases offered by crypto, by, some of these established entities that we are, revolutionizing against. But people will appreciate those.
You talked about there's being no plan for a burn, but I think so. I said thoughts on creating a token burn mechanism as transaction fees increase, similar to part of what EIP 1559 is doing for ETH. So I guess I can just ask you generally, what do you think about that update for ETH?
Right. So I don't have a lot of opinions here. I think token burn mechanism is something that we can definitely look into as an ecosystem. We just don't have any developer bandwidth. We're so stressed out right now with the things that we have working on right now.
Yeah.
We have plenty to work on, and I think this is something that's definitely worth considering, though.
How do you balance maximizing Cosmos ecosystem versus maximizing Atom? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So at Tendermint, we're doing a balancing act between the two of them. And what's the difference between the ecosystem and Atom, right? In some respects, I think the ecosystem right now of chains that use the SDK but don't promote the Atom, that's sort of the bigger ecosystem right now. And the way we're changing things is, right, with enablement of IBC, with Gravity Dex, it encourages other chains to connect to the hub. But beyond that, for the next cohort, the next generation of chains, we expect them to be all using Starport, which is a product we're developing ourselves, which creates the most aligned incentives with Atom holders that we can make happen.
Perfect. Can you talk about the Etherman project? How is this uniquely different from just a normal bridge?
Cool. Yeah. So Ethermint is not a bridge at all. Ethermint is, in fact, the Ethereum virtual machine as a Cosmos SDK module. So what it does, it allows you to spin up a new chain that supports Solidity smart contracts, that supports MetaMask, that supports all sort of Web3 tooling that Ethereum has, but it's built on a proof of stake consensus mechanism that the Cosmos SDK uses.
Interesting.
So what this allows, right, is that it finally allows the sort of greater community of Solidity developers to instantly port their work over to Cosmos just by copying and pasting, right, without incurring any other costs. Because developing a Cosmos chain still, requires you to learn a new software development kit, requires you to learn Golang if you don't know it, it requires you to collect validators. But being able to instantly copy and paste your smart contract from Ethereum 1.0 to Ethermint, I think that will allow for far more experimentation.
What's the relationship with IrisNet? I don't know if it's IrisNet or IrisNet.
Yeah, so Tendermint holds Iris tokens, and IrisNet was our first big partner. So they were instrumental in helping us spread Cosmos in China. So IrisNet is really like our China partner. And they were, in fact, the first chain that launched with the Cosmos SDK. They launched a week before the Cosmos Hub, and we still have a really great relationship with them. They are, in essence, IrisNet is our China play for Cosmos. They're very much involved in crypto in China. They communicate with Binance. I believe they're working to bring Binance tokens onto IrisNet, and at which point, potentially they can be brought over from IrisNet to the Cosmos Hub.
Perfect. Can you talk about how an IBC transfer is different than and or more useful than an AMM swap?
Sure. So an IBC transfer allows tokens from one account on one chain to be transferred to another account on another chain, right? So what IBC transfers allows is for cross-chain token transactions. But that doesn't really allow you to trade with someone else. Obviously, you can say, hey Bob, I'm going to transfer 5 tokens to you. Please transfer 10 tokens back when you can. But there's no proof that he's going to do that. There's no guarantee that he'll do that. So that's what the Gravity Dex does for you, right? It allows you to create these orders that anyone can fulfill, or lets you, swap immediately through the AMM style interface.
Cool. I know we're getting up against it. We've got about 5 more minutes left, but are you supporting virtual world application games like Sandbox, Decentraland, etc.?
Yeah, so that's what we hope to achieve with Pylons. So Pylons, that I mentioned before, is our incubated NFT project. You're able to build things like Sandbox and Decentraland with Pylons, because really all what those things are, right, is a way to define plots of land and the ability to add, different sorts of data to each plot of land. So that's definitely possible with Pylons.
Very cool. Well, I know we're up against it here. So I was just, if you have any parting words, thoughts, things that we didn't touch on that people should definitely know and get excited about.
Yeah, so Cosmos is a huge ecosystem. And the Gravity Dex on the Cosmos Hub is our way of unlocking all of these sort of interchain and cross-chain synergies, right? So Cosmos powers over 200 blockchains. This includes Binance Coin, this includes Terra, the Cosmos Hub, Crypto.com, OKCoin, Thorchain, Akash, a bunch of others. And it's, these chains are valued at over $100 billion today in total. The Gravity Dex will encourage these chains to connect to the Cosmos Hub. And I really want to encourage you to try out the Gravity Dex. We have an incentivized testnet coming up, in early May, I believe. So if you go to gravitydex.io, you can check out how to participate. We have like 200,000 USD in rewards coming from partners like some of the chains I mentioned earlier. And the registration should open in a couple of days, actually. So make sure to sign up if you're interested.
And where can everybody, who missed this conversation or who's just catching on, where can they follow you? Where can they get more information? And guys, I put a bunch of stuff in the description about Cosmos, obviously, so you can find it. And I will add Peng's Twitter there. I'm not sure if we put it there. Make sure,
yeah,
but go ahead
so
and
my
tell them.
Twitter is ZCPeng. This is ZCPENG. I tweet only about Cosmos, really. So if you want to follow me and get the latest on what's going on, you can feel free to follow me.
Very, very cool. So thank you so much for taking the time. This is awesome. I learned a ton, which is very valuable for me, obviously, as I'll be talking about you guys.
I really appreciated the questions. There were some very good questions there. Thanks for listening.
You guys, one thing that I've noticed is you guys have like the most passionate community. And not only that, they're so pleasant. Some of these communities I find can be very antagonistic, and there's a lot of, sort of, I don't know, competition or anger towards other projects. I've never sort of experienced even a word of that, in interacting with your guys' community. I don't know how you do it, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I think we try our best to be the bridger between all ecosystems, right? So we don't try to shoot down any other project because, we want them in the fold at the end of the day. We want them to all be a part of Cosmos. That
makes perfect sense. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time, and we'll have to, follow up in a couple months and see where you guys are at.
Thank you so much, Scott, for giving me this opportunity.
Of course. Thank you guys for showing up. We really appreciate it. We will talk to you soon. Peace.
Let's go.